Good morning, Heather, and we are live from Allegheny General Hospital this morning, where Robert Bowers has been since Saturday morning's massacre. Public Works crews with the county will be moving these road closed signs here onto Ivory Avenue to let drivers know that a 2-month reconstruction project has begun. This is where that traffic light pole was supposed to go, where you can see these wires hanging down, and it was supposed to stretch across Graham Road here. But police say things took a turn for the worse when that pole fell down on top of that utility worker, killing him. I want to walk you through what happened. You can see this is the wood that was boarded up over that glass that was shot out by the suspect, and I'm going to walk through here. Glass was right here as well. As you can see, it's missing. We have moved back to the city county building here, and all of these protesters are waiting for a press conference to start. You can see the orange cone set up. You're not going to be able to go down that on-ramp, which leads you out to 376 eastbound. So keep that in mind. Give yourself some extra time. You're going to see a lot of signs up throughout the city today because of the rain and the flooding that we've been dealing with all weekend long. So you didn't touch any women?
I don't think so.
Their breasts or their
No.
private area?
I mean, not that I know of. I mean,
what do you mean, not that you know of? You either did or you didn't.
Not inappropriately.
The manhunt is over in Central Michigan for the suspect in a deadly shooting at Central Michigan University. This Buffalo holds about 2,500 gallons of water, and folks are using these containers to fill up and take inside. You can see tire tracks left in the grass here after police say a car crashed into the back of this home here in Manchester, then took off. Here we go, guys. Wow. My hands hurt from holding on so tight. This is awesome. I'm going up the hill that made the mean streak the world's tallest wooden roller coaster. Well, it is a gorgeous day in downtown Pittsburgh during this Labor Day weekend. It may be September, but it still feels like summer. As you can see, many are there out on their boats enjoying the river this evening. Beautiful shot there. Can we expect the same tomorrow? John Burnett is here with more. Hi, John. Police are investigating after a body was found floating in a creek. A fisherman found that body around noon on Little Pine Creek next to the Allegheny River. Residents in parts of the Allegheny Valley have their water back on after a couple of issues this weekend. 2 separate breaks happened on Pitt Street in Leechburg, and a couple of hours later, another on Alabama Avenue in Vandergrift. Did you know today is the first day of trout season in Pennsylvania?
That's right.
So,
good point.
I don't know if you're going to go out there and go fishing, John, but a lot of fishermen are expected to take advantage of the nice weather this weekend. This is where that garage was here on Hillman Street. As you can see behind this orange netting, literally obliterated, debris scattered all over the ground. Fire officials believe this garage exploded. She wants to let other struggling addicts out there really learn from her experiences so that she can help them out, and especially addicted mothers. You know, a lot of these people were just in Las Vegas having a good time. They were there to celebrate a 40th birthday party. They were there to celebrate bachelorette parties, all these people that you heard from and more. Allegheny County District Attorney Steven Zappala said his office objected to releasing East Pittsburgh police officer Michael Rosfeld on $250,000 unsecured bond. We have some down wires this morning in Monroeville. This is on Abers Creek Road between Cavett Road and Northern Pike Road. All lanes are blocked there, so keep that in mind if you're headed in that area this morning.
I think there's a game tomorrow, I think
there's a game tomorrow. Do you remember this toy, these board games, Rick and Lisa? Chutes and ladders. And we are walking down Center Avenue right now, heading towards downtown Pittsburgh, and as you can see, we have, I would say, 40 to 50 protesters here right now chanting, you know, our streets, we want justice. The chants that we've been hearing all week long. Folks met over up at the Freedom Corner in the Hill District and started heading down Center. 2 of Antoine's cousins spoke right before they came down here, and they said that they want justice for their cousin Antoine Rose. As you can see here, a lot of people. One of the women holding up the sign right now with the curly hair, that's one of his cousins. She spoke over at the Freedom Corner before we left up there. And this is, we have police down at intersections, blocking different intersections. There were protests all week long, Wednesday in East Pittsburgh, Thursday over on the Parkway East, then Friday night by PNC Park, Saturday night on East Carson Street and the south side They took a break from protesting Sunday and Monday out of respect for Antoine's family, for his viewing and funeral services, but now they're back at it again here. There is a car stuck in the water right now, and as you can see, emergency crews just got to the scene. We got here around 9:45 to do a live shot about the Steelers game tomorrow when we saw this car stuck in the water here, and thankfully we got here at the right place at the right time so we could call 911 and let them know what was going on.
Excuse me, guys, is someone in there?
Amy Wadas live. This is the bath of what's known as the Parkway Central coming towards the North Shore.
A rescue crews just went over there, opened both of the doors that you can see here, and had a rescue boat that they were bringing with them. And it appears that no one is inside.
This is her car seat.
Marcia Sokolow Spitz
Sit down. Thank you. Good girl.
takes her Morky Coco almost everywhere she goes.
She's just such a good girl. She's used to traveling all the time.
Coco even flies with Marcia.
It's very calming. You know, I was never a fan of flying. And I always had my husband's hand to hold and squeeze when the takeoffs and landings or any of the turbulence.
But Marcia's late husband isn't here anymore to hold her hand, so her therapist recommended Coco become an emotional support animal to help her deal with the loss and help her fly. There are certain guidelines a licensed professional must follow when writing an ESA letter.
Only licensed healthcare providers are supposed to write these letters. I won't write a letter unless they're, one, my client, two, the animal is well trained and behaved. And in the letter, you have to state why the animal is there, what the animal does to support the client. They usually want to know some sort of diagnosis for having the animal.
The airline also requires a signature on the letter and a license number. But on March 1st, 2 airlines tightened their policy even more. United is one of them.
They have to provide confirmation that the animal has been trained to behave properly in a public setting, so they have to check that box. Additionally, we're asking that they provide us with health and vaccination records signed by the animal's veterinarian.
Delta is another airline cracking down. According to Delta's website, the airline has had customers who tried to fly with comfort turkeys, snakes, spiders, and more. They say ignoring the true intent of an ESA animal does a disservice to customers who have a real need for them. Okay, so how easy is it to fake it? I decided to see how the process works, so I logged onto a website for a company called CertiPet to see if I could get my 5-year-old cat Simba to become certified as an ESA animal. The site is one of several where a licensed medical professional will write an ESA letter for you if you pay a fee. I had to answer a bunch of questions involving my mental health, like whether I've felt down or had anxiety in the past week. I answered honestly, then paid the $149 fee. And in just a few days, I got an ESA letter in the mail, written and signed by someone named Luann Rossi. The letter says she has a license in Pennsylvania. To find out if it really worked, we booked a ticket to Miami on American Airlines, told them that Simba was an ESA animal, emailed the airline a copy of my letter, and went to the airport. Simba was in a carrier that fit under the seat in front of me. When we got to the gate, the airline attendant didn't even glance at my letter and said I was okay to fly.
What's your kitty's name? Simba.
We boarded the plane and I flew with Simba a good portion of the way on my lap, which you're allowed to do with an ESA animal. As you can see, my little guy Simba and I made it to South Beach here in Miami, and we are going to check out the sights while we're here. Simba got to experience the sand for the first time, hear the ocean waves, and do a little sightseeing.
Ready to go back to Pittsburgh?
On the way back, we got to our gate without any problems.
We're going to Pittsburgh.
This time, the airline attendant in Miami did look at my ESA letter before boarding, and we had an uneventful flight back home. But what about the ESA letter I got online? Should it really have been that easy for me to get one?
In our opinion, that is not a legitimate document. If a customer's medical professional has not signed off on it, then we're not going to be able to accept that document.
In fact, Ellen Friza March suggests people stay away from these types of websites.
These individuals who are writing it don't have a therapeutic relationship with the person. They don't know anything about the animal.
I think that makes it more difficult for people like myself who really have legitimate need to have an animal with them.
I reached out to the therapist who wrote my letter but never heard back. However, Certipet did respond. They told me their therapists make decisions based on what clients tell them and assume they're being honest. They admit some people might be abusing the system and are thankful that airlines are cracking down.
Wow, it's very interesting. Simba's adorable. I love cats, but I'm actually allergic to them. A lot of people are. What do the airlines do about people who may have allergies?
Well, believe this, the airline said that they will try to move the person with the allergy further away from the person who's bringing their pet on board. And if for some reason that doesn't work, they will actually try to rebook them a later flight on that airline.
All right, so if Simba were just your pet, as far as the airliner is concerned, what would it have cost to bring Simba in the cabin with you?
It would have cost $125 each way. So as you can see, $149 is a significant savings if you're flying with your pet a few times a year. 33-year-old Shannon Edwards just announced her candidacy and says she's ready to hit the ground running. But what she didn't want to talk about, her relationship with former Congressman Tim Murphy.
I think that it's important to stand up for women and girls and have them bring their voice to the table.
The clinical forensic psychologist wants to focus on issues like mental health and the opioid epidemic. But will voters want to hear about these issues when there's something else overshadowing them? That's something else, the affair she had with former Congressman Tim Murphy. It is a question that I'm sure will come across some of the voters' minds, and to be fair to them, since you are running, what would you say to them?
I intend to remain loyal and steadfast to the people of Pittsburgh, and that I am a dedicated individual.
Murphy, who is pro-life, resigned from office in October of last year. He came under fire after reports that he urged Edwards to get an abortion during a pregnancy scare. Do you have any comment on that, as far as that essentially being what made him resign from his position?
I can't be responsible for anybody else's action, inaction, reaction to a situation. I am responsible for my action and my reaction to things.
Edwards met Murphy at Torrance State Mental Hospital. They worked on a piece of mental health legislation that passed in July 2016 and took effect that December.
We absolutely teamed up on that, and I think it was very important, and the parts that passed were wonderful.
Edwards continued to redirect questions back to her campaign when I asked her about her involvement with Murphy. Do you ever regret your relationship at all that you guys had developed over the years?
I don't think that's what we're here to talk about. I'm really excited to talk about my candidacy, though, and the platforms.
Have you spoken to Tim at all since all of this?
I think we're here to talk about my candidacy.
However, Edwards realizes that her opponents will likely use the affair against her. How do you feel like you'll handle that?
I feel like it's inappropriate, and I feel like I'm going to stay on my mission to serve the people of Pittsburgh.
And Edwards may have an uphill battle on that and actually winning the seat. If the newly redrawn Pennsylvania congressional map stands, she'd face Democrat Mike Doyle in a mostly Democratic district. She could also face Republican Rick Saccone if he wins the special election to fill Murphy's seat. Susan? An incredible story, Ken. And tomorrow is Jenny Stepien's big day. She'll be marrying the man of her dreams. Since her father can't be the one to walk her down the aisle, she found another man who will be. This man carries with him a special piece of her dad.
On your right, you're going to see a parking lot. My aunt's wearing a white pants and a blue shirt.
Jenny Stepien has waited 10 years for this day. On the eve of her wedding day, Jenny met for the first time the man who's now living with her father's heart. A meeting filled with emotion for Jenny and the entire Stepien family. Jenny's father, Michael Stepien, was murdered in Swissvale back in 2006. His organs were donated, including the heart Arthur Thomas had been waiting 16 years for.
My pulse. Can we get it with you? Can you feel it?
And on Friday, Jenny felt her father's heart beat for the first time in 10 years.
I am so excited. It's like the whole family's here now. It's like everybody's here.
Thomas and his wife traveled to Pittsburgh from New Jersey to be here for Jenny's big day. Everyone gathered at St. Anselm Church in Swissvale, where the ceremony will take place.
We've been talking to him and writing letters and calling and receiving flowers and sending gifts for the past 10 years, and now it's finally like here.
Just hugging him made me feel like I was close to my dad again, which on this day was just perfect. It was what I needed.
But there's even more to this special meeting.
Jenny wrote me a letter, and she said, "Dear Tom, I'm the daughter of the man whose heart's inside you, and I'm going to get married on August 6th. One further thing, if you're willing, would you walk me down the aisle?"
So Thomas got the okay from his daughter, and the rest is history.
First person I'll ever be walking down the aisle.
It's just like having my dad here, and better because we get to share this story with other people, and other people see that organ donors do matter.
And Jenny's big day is tomorrow at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Following that will be a reception at the Grand Concourse in Station Square. And we want to, of course, congratulate the soon-to-be married couple. Ken.